All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world that you're tuning in from. I want to believe that you guys can all hear me. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up, please. Fantastic. Okay. So welcome to the 20th edition of TCRM Conversations with Isobasi. So this series of conversations is an initiative of the Cross River Movement. And what we aim to do is to bring stakeholders from within the public and private sector together to discuss specific topics that relate to the development and the welfare of Cross River State. So for today's edition, we're focused on science and technology. And I have a panel of guests here who, I'll be putting a series of questions to, and hopefully we should be able to generate some ideas around how to move forward science and tech in Cross River State. So what I'll do before I jump into the conversation is, first of all, I will read out some of the ground rules. So firstly, everyone except the facilitator and the guest should be muted. I need to check and ensure that that has been done. Just give me a brief second. Okay. Yep, so that's been done. So the first thing, as I said, everyone except the facilitator and the guest will be muted while the event is in progress. And if you have any questions to ask any of the guests, we encourage you to use the reactions icon either at the bottom or top of your Zoom application to raise your hand, and we'll unmute you and give you the opportunity to ask your questions. And we encourage everyone to be civil with their questions, civil and respectful with their questions. And once you've asked your question, we'd ask you to lower your hand so that we don't call you up again. If you're on Zoom, please feel free throughout the conversation to use the comments section. So if you've got any comments, any thoughts that you'd like to share, feel free to use the comments section to share those comments. And again, we encourage you to be civil and respectful of our guests. If you're following us on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, or Instagram, feel free to comment while you're there, and again, keep them civil and respectful. If you're listening to us on Sparkling FM 92.3, and you'd like to ask a question or send us a comment, you can do so by WhatsApping your comment to 0806 756 6448. I'll repeat that. It's 0806 756 6448. So if you send us a WhatsApp, please don't call the number because nobody will pick that up. But if you send us an SMS message or a WhatsApp message, we'll read it out live. And if you would like to propose a topic for a future conversation, would like you to get in touch with us and, share your ideas with us. Thank you very much. So we're talking today, we're going to be talking science and tech. And we know that, science and technology serve as a powerful catalyst for progress and development and prosperity. And this is, science and technology is ubiquitous. It cuts across, every sector, whether it's agriculture. We talked about agriculture here before. We talked about tourism here before. I think with technology, it's really an enabler. It's ubiquitous across all sectors. So it will be interesting, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation here today. What I will do now is I'm going to share a brief video. I think it's no more than about 3 minutes. So what we did in typical TCRM fashion was that we sent out volunteers to the streets of Calabar to, talk to people and find out from them their where they think that technology sort of currently sits in Cross River State, and how perhaps the sector can be taken forward. So bear with me briefly while we get that going. And then once we've done that, I'll introduce our guests, and we should be able to get the conversation going.
Hello there. Good Friday, and I am a volunteer with the Cross River Movement. Today, I and my team are here in the streets of Calabar to do a vox pop to get the opinion of citizens on the state of technology in Cross River State. Are you a lover of Cross River State? Are you a citizen of Cross River State? Come with me.
I would say that, first of all, the ecosystem. Cross River State is a state that has a lot of, has a very, very large, talent factory.
Okay.
But I think that one of the things that is stopping is the ecosystem. In places like China, Taiwan, young people they are made to interact with technology at a very, very young age. In Cross River State, for example, in Nigeria as a whole, we have computer science students, in the university, you still have to learn coding on pen and paper, and that's a big problem.
But for me, for the government, the best way government could help is to build a hub. Most of the problem tech people face is electricity and conducive environment. The moment you have electricity and a conducive environment, you've solved half of their problems already.
And now I look into the aspect of EduTech. EduTech is one of the platforms where teachers should see how they can educate their children how to use the computer system and how to answer their exams, their questions, and all that. So it is a very good platform for children to develop.
Yes, science and technology plays a huge role in society.
Okay.
So science changes society. Without science, so a lot of things need to be done to bring science, to invest huge amount of money into science so that the science and technology can move the society higher. Because without science and technology, the society cannot move.
And I think that one of the solutions to this ecosystem problem would be creating an innovation lab, where young people could have access to technological and digital skills, resources, have access to mentors, and have access to funding if possible, for some of the solutions that they create.
I think it's important for the state government to develop the youth on digital skills, because like we all know, the world is going global. It's already a global world. So whosoever is not used to the modern technologies will find it so difficult to excel in his or her profession.
Okay. And there are lots of jobs online there that will require all these kind of technical skills, you know what I'm saying? Like programming works, you can use that and be making money online. And who knows, anywhere in life, you can get any technical job.
So I spend like 5,000 to 7,000 naira data weekly. I'm not even saying monthly. If I'm going by monthly, I think it's up to 20K.
Oh my gosh. If it's not actually 20K.
20K data.
I consume around 30 to 40 gig.
I hope you enjoyed listening to people's opinion on the state technologies. A lot of them highlighted so many problems and also preferred solutions to the problem that we are facing in Cross River State.
All right, yeah, thanks very much to the volunteers of the Cross River Movement for putting the Vox Pop together. I hope you enjoyed it and it gave us some idea of, what people in the state feel about science and tech. So with me today to, discuss this topic, hopefully we have the Commissioner for Science and Technology, Dr. Justin Beshel. We also have Mr. Augustine Ugi, who's the president of Nugi Group. And we have Mr. Patrick Ndifon, who is executive director of Psifon org and the state coordinator of the 3MTT Cross River State. We also have Mr. Effiom, who's the founder of Guru Innovative Hub. So, guys, welcome to this edition of Conversations with Iso Basi. So I think I'll get this going. I'm not certain if the commissioner is here as yet. If he's here, please, just send us a message to indicate if you've come in using a different alias. But what I would do, first of all, is to introduce, is to hand over to our panelists one after the other for them to tell us a bit more about themselves. So I think I will start with Mr. Augustine. Nugi, so just, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do within the tech space.
Good afternoon, Mr. Iso. Nice meeting you again. As you already know, I run several entities, and that's why we have the Nugi group. And we started out with Nugi Technologies around 2016, and we've been one of the pioneering company pushing technology adoption in Cross River State. And we've been able to hold down an ecosystem that's suffered in the past 8 years. Like your video will say, I think, like the feedback we got from the people in your video. And but what we have done so well is to be able to help stir up activities around the Cross River State technology ecosystem. I started out very early as the first GDG lead, and even though that tenure wasn't really good, as I've always said, but there were certain factors at the time, and we had a technology-driven government at that then, and the handover was done to the previous one, which wasn't really a tech-friendly government. So we suffered a whole lot, and we suffered a lot of downtime. But I think the ecosystem is picking up nicely well. And just to add that we at Nugi, we do quite a lot. We build, we train, we develop, and we deploy several solutions in fintech, in government, in several ecosystem, and with several companies globally, not just in Nigeria alone. And we have services literally littered everywhere in Nigeria currently. And our other companies springing up one is the farm. We have a very large farm in Akpabio, call it Nugi Farms. And we have also Nugi Innovation, which is now the training and development arm of what we do. And there are several ideas springing up under the group, and so far so good. We have a very healthy ecosystem that we are building here for young people, and we envisage that we would always have a say when it comes to technology adoption by any young person in the States, and also by government and by other local companies that we have around. So we are here, young people. If you're listening, you're always welcome to come find out if you can succeed in our hub, in our tech hub. We have a tech hub 24/7. We run it, and we have internet available. We have everything that would help anybody to grow in the tech ecosystem. So I've seen some feedback from your video, and I feel that if only they could find us, and then some of them would actually find their ways in tech and have a good career. Like we have some outstanding people that have passed through the system and have done so well. So yes, that's pretty much what we do.
Okay, thanks very much. I'll come back to you, but I think it would be great to tell us where your hub is located.
Okay.
Yeah, go on. Tell us where your hub is located.
All right, so the hub is located at UD King. If you know UD King filling station, behind UD King filling station, there's a street 7B Solomon Upper. So you can locate us. It's a very massive entity, and you can actually locate just behind the filling station is a hub. So, but you have to navigate. There's a street just before UD King, and the street name is Solomon Upper. Once you get there, 7B is the number, even though the numbers have not been officially put on the buildings, but you can actually locate us. And then maybe before the show is up, I'll drop a number that you can actually call to get directions if you want to come.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I can see the commissioner is here with us. Honorable Commissioner, you're welcome to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm just doing an introduction, but I'll come to you in a short while. So I think I would ask Oyo Effiom. Oyo, so just tell us what you do, what your involvement in the tech space in Cross River State is.
All right, thank you, Mr. Saw, for the opportunity. Thank you, Cross River, for joining this call. So I run an organization called the Guru Innovation Hub. It's an open living lab where we talk about entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology. So we want to work with young people, elderly people to build solution through co-creation, because we believe in the potential of Cross River and what we can do collectively. So we begin with users in mind, and then we build collectively with all the stakeholders. We started off last year by having a physical hub here in Cross River State. I think where young persons come to learn technology. We talk about entrepreneurship, see how to build solutions. We currently have a lot of stakeholder engagement going on different issues. Like next week, we're having fabrication roundtable, where we're seeing how we can see how to fabricate the next solution for Cross River State. We're trying to connect virtually all the pillars of the ecosystem together in Cross River State to see how we can have a vibrant ecosystem that works for everybody. So I want to say that we are like a nexus point for innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, discussion in Cross River State.
Fantastic. Mr. Patrick Ndifon, please tell us about yourself, tell us about your organization as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Esau. Good afternoon, my fellow panelists. Honorable Commissioner, good afternoon. And everyone, good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Patrick Ndifon. I'm a product manager. I'm an ecosystem builder and also a community manager. I currently run a nonprofit called Psifon. I've been doing that since 2016. Psifon basically is an ecosystem enabler. Basically, our work is focused on fostering an innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in emerging regions. So we're currently working in Cross River State, where we're helping to, promote innovation, promote entrepreneurship, encourage tech and startup development. So we are usually engaging with policymakers, entrepreneurs, startup and SMEs, investors, and talent, tech and non-tech talent, towards driving innovation and entrepreneurship within the space. Currently, we are mapping the ecosystem in Cross River State, taking stock of the resources available to support entrepreneurs, tech talent within the state. The ecosystem exercise is very critical in implementing the startup bill, which is also another direction we are currently engaging stakeholders in to fast track domesticating that bill within the state. At the same time, we have over the years worked with entrepreneurs to help raise capital for investment. We've done over $100,000 in investments in terms of facilitating investments for startups through innovation competitions and just private consultations. So we work with startups to help them get investments for their businesses. currently running a program called First Labs that is focused on helping entrepreneurs, non-tech talents, just take their ideas from concept to reality at a very cost-effective rate. The other things I do, also the community manager for the 3 Million Technical Talent Program. It's a program being organized by the federal government, and its objective is to train 3 million tech talent in the entire country, but not just train them, but also place them in opportunities both locally and globally. So Psifon's work really cuts across every component of the ecosystem, just trying to ensure that Cross River State becomes sort of like a hub for innovation, a hub for entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Patrick, thank you very much. That sounds really, really interesting. You mentioned something about the startup bill. And this is the first time I'm actually hearing about this. Is this like a bill that has been passed at the federal level that you're looking to domesticate at the state level, or what exactly is that?
Yeah, it's a bill that has been passed at the federal level. I think this was in 2022, around October. Then President Muhammad Buhari had passed it into law. However, there's the need for the bills to be domesticated in every state in the country. So we're not trying to pass it. I mean, we don't have the capacity to put it into law locally, but our work basically is to engage with stakeholders in government and sort of like advocate for speedy implementation of that bill locally.
Okay, I'll come back to you later because it would be interesting to know some of the details about that bill. So maybe later in the conversation, I'll come back to you. Commissioner Dr. Justin Beshel, it's a pleasure to have you here. Maybe you want to tell us a bit about yourself, and also very importantly, whenever we have someone from the public sector, come to our conversations, we like to also understand what the administration's vision is for that sector. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me and all the participants. It is an honor to be here with you on this Zoom chat. I thought I was going to skip it, but because it matters so much to me, I decided to join you. Despite that, I had some other engagements, I have to push it aside.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
It's okay then. The administration of His Excellency Senator Prince Percy Edipatu is tagged People's First Administration. But that's what government entails. Talk about democracy is the government of the people. And that is what His Excellency is building on, not just bringing from the blues. What he thinks is good, but may not be people-oriented. And one of the cardinal people that he's interested in, and of course, people who make the majority of the populace, even in Cross River State, are the youths. And you can see that he is very much interested in the youth. 80% or more of his appointees are youth, even among the members of the State Executive Council. And he had maybe understand that the Ministry of Science and Technology is his own brainchild. We are aware that that ministry was created just about 3 months to the end of the previous administration. But when we spoke, he told me that he had asked the former governor to establish this ministry. And this, he borrowed the lead from the activities of the former Minister for Science and Technology, Ogbonna Onu, that there was so much that they had in common and so much you know about him. And that he knows that if this ministry is created in Cross River State, it will make the work very easy and less cumbersome for him, because his targeted interest is on the youth. Youth, look at them from the street, youths are not interested in hands-on experience, jobs that require practicality. Globally, we don't have white-collar jobs as it used to be. Where youth can easily be engaged is in things that are practically done. In his wisdom, he came and merged the previous ministries that had existed in the previous administration That is the Ministry of ICT, is stood on its own. The Ministry of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence is stood on its own. In advancing and to break it people-oriented and practical in nature, you say, no, all these ones come together and form one big cluster and cater for the youth. And from the beginning, up till now, we are just about, like my ministry, I was sworn in 16th of August, we are just about 7 months old. And I can tell you in earnest that we are doing very well. When I say very well, we are not yet there, but judging with the space of time that we have come on board, some time ago last year, we brought home the NERA Award. And the NERA Award was won by Cross River State in state category in digital innovation. And just on Friday, the Facebook, social media is agog with another award again that we have brought from the 2024 Science and Technology Expo exhibition that took place in Abuja. Cross River State came first with some innovation that we have brought into the existing one. And this wouldn't have been possible just with myself alone. I have been able to bring in a good number of perseverance who have what it takes to offer, to build up, to build some machines. First for the ones that we presented, for thanks to my brother, who is equally here on this chart, that's the president of Nugi Tech, Augustine. We worked together from the beginning when this invite was given to me about the 2024 Expo. And to wow the whole country, what we sat together, initiated, and presented got the national attention and gave us this first position award. So I see that we are on our way to becoming self-sufficient and even representing Nigeria in even global competitions. That's what I can say for now, that we're on the right course. And we are doing this in collaboration. Even the Guru Hub, who is there, my brother, the Guru Hub had partnered with the Ministry of Science and Technology in promoting the girl child in STEM education. I was the one, I went there and flagged off the program. And then my brother Ndifon, Patrick Ndifon, who is equally, he just spoke last. He was in my office some time ago to talk about the 3 entities. So you can see that the Ministry of Science and Technology is not just working as its own entity, but it's working in partnership with people who have distinguished themselves in the world of sciences, in tech. And Cross River State is very ready to partner with them in giving them all the support that is needed to empower our youth with tech skills. In no time, as we are planning a tech festival where we are going to bring all who have tech hubs, people who are interested in exhibiting and showcasing their talents. We're ready to promote them, to take them to national and even multinational companies for marketing, for exports of their wits, their prowess, and their inventions. Thank you.
Well, Commissioner, thank you very much. And, let me congratulate you and the government of Cross River State for the 2 awards. And it's good to see, partnership between the public sector and the private sector. And this is one of the first conversations where, the commissioner seems to know all the people from the private sector who are also on the conversation. But what I want to ask you, you said you won 2 awards for digital innovations.
Yes.
What are those specific digital innovations, and are those things that were put together to make a presentation, or are those things that have been implemented for the benefit of Cross Riverians?
Okay, the first award that we had, we call it NERA, that Nigeria Internet Research Association, that scored us highest in digital innovation. The just based on there has been at the present. Cross River State before now was not on the world map when it comes to having a one-stop shop where all the artists of Cross River State are just known by a click. The present administration then came and developed crossriverstate.gov.ng, where all the ministry now serves as subdomain. All the artists of Cross River State are now made open. All that we do are now transparent. That wherever you are, even as you are now, just Google crossriverstate.gov.ng, and you have the activities and the policy of Cross River State at just a click. That was what gave us that award. And then secondly, what we presented in this expo, the first was central authentication payment system. That's the system that measures real time. For example, real-time revenue generation in Cross River State from all the MDAs and all the revenue generation agencies. That even as we are speaking now, if a Naira drops into Cross River State account as it's meant to be, His Excellency who has the app will see it real time. Once the app is shared with you see it real time. So the app is so that it measures, but don't just measure and sum up, it also seems to curb and to nip to the barest minimum leakages of revenue that used to leak into people's packages, therefore increasing the internally generated income for Cross River State. And the app goes beyond that. The essence of this app, too, we are trying to see it, how we can float it to run as just like we have money points, where you can use it like a remittance and generate revenue to Cross River State. And the app, again, has, like I said, it's integrated, bringing all the MDAs together, that the activities of the MDAs are known to the public and made known at any click. Well, like I said, it is an abridgment between the ministry and my brother, also the Nugi Tech. So we are still working on it, but when it was presented, it was such that the judges, the educators, advised that such be presented before Governors Forum, and with the Council of State, that such be adopted by all the governors and the different states of the Federation, to tell you how they have seen to it that it's going to curb and then cut down these leakages. Another thing that we presented was a machine that is used to thresh and then extract fiber from plantain and banana stem. The use of fiber cannot be emphasized, especially now that there are policies against the use of polythene in so many countries, and especially in the Western world. Cross River State displays a lot of plantain and banana. All we just do is just to cut the plantain, mix with the plantain itself, the banana itself, and throw away the stems that later get rotten and consume nuisance in our farmlands. But this machine is locally fabricated so that it can extract fiber. Fiber is used in textile industries. Fiber is used in paper making. Fiber is used even in plastic of Paris, that's a POP. The fiber is used in even bag making. The use of fiber, even like I speak in Nigeria, in West Africa, we still import fiber. And so this is the first time in West Africa that such a machine has been fabricated to extract fiber. And the ease to slice banana and plantain stem to be taken up by this machine has also been demonstrated by a fabrication of another machine called the stem slicer. It's a case so that when you cut a whole lump of a stem and introduce into this other machine, it slices it into smaller shapes that has now been taken by the extractor, and the extractor now brings out the fiber. So practically it was shown that from there, we even went to the endpoint of even producing paper from this fiber gotten from plantain. So those are the major 3 items that were presented that get end of this award. It's not just about presenting them now. After the award, what we intend to do is looking for sponsorship, looking for grants to mass produce, to reproduce, and then also to see how we man all these in different sectoral districts across Cross River State. And also, in partnership with Cross River State, NASA 10 approached us, and they said they have a technology where from one seed, we can have up to 5,000 suckers, and that they are ready to partner with us and help us to grow suckers, which will make available stems for our fiber industry. We are not yet there, but we know that we are getting somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you very much. I think I have just one question for you before I go to the other panelists, which is, like I said earlier, I think before you joined that, technology is something that cuts across all industries. And you've even given the example of agriculture, for example, which is interesting. So what I would like to know from you is, what's the vision of this administration for utilizing technology? I'm particularly interested in how you intend to use technology to deliver services, to people of Cross River State. So I know something I believe you mentioned about revenue generation, revenue. I don't know whether that includes the collection of revenue. But what else? Is there anything in terms of how people can communicate with government, how they can, maybe do applications and get government services provided to them using technology?
Okay, thank you. Communication, like you have mentioned, is one aspect that this administration has made feasible. That's why I began with the one-stop shop, crossriverstate.gov.ng. It makes it very easy for anybody, whether indigent or not, to easily communicate with this present administration with ease. All the MDAs and all the commissioners are given official emails that one can easily just click and communicate with whatever decision, whatever advice you want to share with them. Outside this, there is already in existence a system put in place to reduce paperwork in Cross River State, digitizing administration, governance, tax, e-government. Internet services is now made available to almost all the MDAs in Cross River State. And as I speak with you, I use myself as an instance. Wanted to test run it. What I use in my house is not DSTV, because internet is brought to my home. We have a fiber route that, although it is not in all the nooks and crannies of Cross River State, but at least in the metropolis of Calabar, we have our the fiber routes that we are still working on to even strengthen and increase. And so with it, we provide internet to the households. So the households, if you have an Android TV, a smart TV, you can go have this IPTV and watch all the programs you want to watch. And that is what I am using right away in my house. So instead of making revenue or spending our money to market DSTV, multi-choice, with our internet that we make available, I think we are just charging 15 naira per 1 megabyte. It can go a long way to even increase the revenue for Cross River State. And then people too can, in real time, watch events, monitor events. The use of internet cannot be emphasized. That has really caused so many young youths, the youth, to be limited. And so if internet is provided, they can stay even in your small space with your Android phone. You can do a lot, even make a living from one small corner of your house. That's what Cross River State want to do. And then one of the things we're trying to do again, is even in CRGIA, where we want to also cut down the bottleneck associated with getting certificate of occupancy. You can process, and all this was even included in this our app that I mentioned. You can stay where you are and process your certificate of occupancy and have it approved. The online payments that are going on, you no longer need to even come to Cross River State or to stay or go to bank to see how you come and pay for your taxes. You can stay where you are, log in, have your revenue of Cross River State paid, and you have your printouts printed. Those are the things that we are gradually going into to promote e-governance and to ensure that Cross River State becomes digitalized as it is meant to be. And don't forget, like I said, we are interested in partnering with all the tech hubs. I had mentioned a few of them who have identified with us. And like I said again, in no time, we are going to organize a tech hub, a tech week, where everybody who has anything to offer will come for exhibition. We'll select from among them and see how we can sponsor.
Commissioner, thank you very much. I'll let you be for now. I think I'll go to Augustine. Nugi, it seems you have a bit of a partnership going with the Cross River State government. And I think, when I looked at the CRG, the internal revenue site, I believe that was probably built by the organization. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would like to know from you in terms of where you think the government can go with regard to to service delivery. So the commissioner mentioned an important point, which is the ability, for example, to get a C of O, without, by applying using technology and not having to perhaps come in physically. What other services do you feel the state government should be delivering at the moment using technology?
All right. So I think for us, partnership with the Ministry of Science and Technology was a wholehearted partnership where we're allowed to innovate at a fast pace. I think when we came in, I think Cross River, I will go back a little bit to how technology developed. From 2012, I think we were really advanced as at 2012 in Cross River State. We're the first states to have laid metro fiber across 2 local governments. We were the first state in the country. And that was how advanced we were way back 2012. But we all know our story in the past 8 years that things did not go as planned. The fiber infrastructure were vandalized during the NSAS and all of that. So many things went wrong, and one would have questioned, where do we start from, right? And where we looked at starting from was to lay back the foundation for a data-driven Cross River state. So for us, we wanted to see that everything is interconnected. It's not just about payments to the government, it's about driving services to you in your home. And so we decided that we needed a framework. That's why the commissioner spoke about the central authentication system, a system we developed to be able to house a whole lot of services. So it's not just about payment service. There's GIA service there. There's due process service there. So if you want to do your due process registration, you can actually do it seamlessly. There's company interaction in there. So as a company, I have a dashboard where I can interact with government. It's a one-stop shop for me to get my C of O, my due process certificate, my PPP certificate, whatever it is I need from government, I can get from that one-stop shop. And so it wasn't just about making payments to the government. So in the pipeline is an innovation we're also still working on, a mobile app called My Cross River. So My Cross River will be the gateway and the foundation. My Cross River will be the gateway and the foundation to so many services. For example, we are looking at linking the primary healthcare services from the rural areas down to the town, so that the head of that agency can actually sit and monitor, for example, pregnant women that need intervention. So when the nurse go, they have a small mobile app that they take data from the rural areas where these women are, and they send it down to the town, and this data can be analyzed. So CAS does so much other than just payment. It does data analysis. We have different kinds of data there. Currently, I'm sure you might have seen enumerators coming to your area to enumerate your house, where you live and all of that, because previously we had the World Bank do an enumeration, but the data was inconsistent. And for us, these are all the things we met on ground when we had this partnership with the government. And even though it's so painful to come and start all of these processes, but the truth is that to get it right, we couldn't have done it any other way than how we are currently doing it at the moment. So we started out with cleaning the data, the existing data, gathering new data, and then finding ways that data can all gather in one place. That's what we call it, the CAS. It has so much data. It links your data to the National Identity System, NIN. It links your data to the tax system of the state. It links your data to where you live. It links your data to your phone number. It links you up in an unbelievable way. So if I call you up, there are certain things I want to see about you. It also even helps store your hospital data, but that is data that is not available on CAS. It's only available in the hospitals. So there are so many moving parts in there that we had to sit down and create a system that will be able to communicate with every MDA and as well communicate with you. On the mobile app we are releasing, you'll be able to actually also speak to government. You mentioned how people can reach government. So we are creating an iReport on the app where you can literally report anything around you. We used to have emergency response center, and this government is committed to revive the emergency response center and actually make the emergency numbers available through this same channel, and so many other moving services, including making money for government. So we are actually introducing paying your bills via this application, so that instead of your banks earning the money you pay on your GoTV, your DSTV, as the case may be, the state government begins to also look at the mindset of doing business inclusively on this platform, so that government is looking at harnessing every resource available at its disposal to make sure that it is delivering on the mission that we have set out and on the vision that we have actually set out to achieve. So there's a whole lot, but what we have shown to the national was quite interesting, and that is why it has been recommended to the Governors Forum for adoption. So that should tell you that it was really unique, because no other state had been looking towards that direction. So if I pull up somebody's data currently in Cross River State, we are trying to link you up to so many things that you have done. Have you paid before in IRS? Have you had a due process certificate before? Have you done any business in Cross River State? Have you had any interaction at all with the state? So that is what we are building at the moment. And believe me, the data is the future of any state in the country, and we cannot move forward as Nigeria without data. So we have recognized it on time, just like we have always been pioneering things. We've always been the first, but the problem has always been sustainability. And we are now blessed with leadership that is looking at sustainability. We are blessed with leadership that is saying, go and soar, go and achieve, go and do what it takes. And if possible, open this technology to other states so that the government can also benefit from what is coming from other states. So if we are going to deploy this in another state, the government is also going to earn revenue from it. So you can look at the mindset of this government. It's not just to come and speak and say things and not do them. We are doing them in such a way that at the end of the day, other governments can actually acquire this technology, use it, and pay the state. So the state is looking at any revenue from these sources, which means that for us to get that quality that looks at deployment in other states, then we actually are doing it right in Cross River State. So these are all the things that we've done so far. Mind you, it's not yet 1 year yet. And just so you know that we've been working so hard behind the scene. We made this government about the government that achieve. We didn't want to be a government that say, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to take this action, we want to take that action. Why not take the action behind the scene before you even bring it to the press? So that is why we've done so much behind the scene. I've shared some links on the chat. If you look at some of those links on the chat, I've shared some of the things we are doing. There's quite a whole lot. We could spend 12 hours looking at everything that has been done for the state so far. But the promise for us is when government and private sector partner and they understand each other and everybody commits to doing the right things, we always win. And that is what we have today in Cross River State. That's what we have in our partnership with the Ministry of Science and Technology. And that is what is winning us the national accolades today. And that is what is also transcending into recommendations that this technology not just be domiciled in Cross River State alone. Cross River should actually share it with other states to benefit from what we have done so far. So if you ask me, is there any state in Nigeria today who is looking at doing the entire thing that Cross River State has done, there is none. And that meeting in Abuja this past week showed that we have really advanced in science and technology so far. Thank you. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, Mr. Shaw, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I was saying that, Mr. Ogi, thanks very much for shedding light on some of those technologies. I'd like to come back to you later just to be clear, because I think it's important for people to be clear on what services are currently accessible via, whether it's crossriverstate.gov.ng or any other platform. So
Okay.
are you, Mr. Ogi, I know there's a partnership between yourself and your company and the government. Do you have an appointment in government?
No, I don't. I'm just
Okay.
a passionate person who has the interest of Cross River State from day one. I've always sold Cross River State wherever I go. And I've always sold the fact that we have I watched the video you presented, and somebody said there's an abundance of talent. And I actually agree with that person, because there's so much we have in talent across the state. We are blessed with people that are smart, people that think out of the box, people that do things differently. And you can see the vision of past governments to have installed only Edo State so far. If you look at what Cross River has done, only Edo and Lagos have actually done what we did about 10 years ago. So that should tell you where our leaders as at then were thinking about where the state should be. Technology-driven, internet services to your home, data services, streaming services, governance right in your home, and using this technology to actually advance our lives, improve our lives. They were thinking far ahead of other states. And if we had capitalized on this, we should have been really, really a great state to probably compete at the level Lagos is actually competing at the moment. So we are here. The private sector, I represent a chunk of the private sector, because we are bringing together a lot of different services on board. So it's not just the services we develop in-house. So there are other consultants developing services. So what we did was to build what we will call an app store for Cross River State. So every app is going to reside on the central authentication system. So assuming you're a bank, you want to verify my data in my house, you want to call that data up, you can actually call that data. We can write a small service for you to communicate, to always reach out to that data. So there's so much potential. The data is made available to anybody the government grants access to. So we don't grant access to. It's not our data, it's the government data. So the government grants data to a consultant, and we on board, we do the necessary security checks, we do the necessary things that need to be done, and we make sure that this consultant is accessing that data securely and is not also keeping any copy of that data. So the services we write to only give you read access to the data, but not access to read and store that data. So there's so much that could be achieved. We haven't done 1 year yet as this new administration, and I can say that I'm really proud of what the Ministry of Science and Technology has achieved so far. And just to really go deep down to reemphasize what has been done so far, we're also providing power for MDAs that have critical need for power. So if you bring solutions to the table and the worker in a particular MDA is telling you, oh, I don't have power, I don't have system, your solution is going to die. So what we are doing now is facilitating drive for solar adoption. And then we are saying, oh, erase all the old systems where you have the fans that consume a lot of electricity, you have the ACs that consume a lot of electricity. Go and buy the ACs, go and buy the fans that can make use of your solar panel. So we are deploying lithium batteries and black panels across several ministries. And we have actually finished our work in IRS and in the AG's office, that's the Accountant General office, where Cross River has her data center situated. So if you go to the AG's office today, You're literally going to be wowed by what we have actually done there. We've given them a 3-module power unit that powers most of the offices. So they cannot say, oh, we don't have power during the day to work, because we supply, we did about 300 solar panels and about 18 lithium batteries. You could look out that what that can give in to them as what they need, critically power the Cross River data center that is situated there at that hub. So there's so much that we are doing behind the scene, and we believe that when we achieve results, like, you should see those results in the awards that are given to the states, not in we shouting them out, oh, we have done this, we've done that, we've done that. But in due time, when the systems are completely ready, the citizens would be engaged and they will use these systems to actually communicate with government.
Okay, fantastic. I think the awards, getting the awards in Abuja are great, but I think what would be even greater is to have people in Cross River State shouting about how easy it is to access government information and government services. I think that would be the greatest award that Cross River State could get from any of its technology initiatives. Effiom and Patrick and Ndifon, thanks for being patient. I'm going to come to you, Oyo. But please, if anyone has a question or comment, just use the reactions icon in Zoom to just indicate, just raise your hand up, and we'll give you the opportunity to ask your question or give your comment. Let me take this. I think there are 2 hands up. I'll take one, and then Oyo, I'll come to you. Just to let you know, the question that I want to ask you is, because you have a tech hub, so I'd like to know, what sort of skills have been developed in your tech hub, and if there's anything particularly significant that has come out of the hub, or anyone who's been part of your ecosystem would also like to hear about it. But I think first of all, I would ask Benga Wulabi. So Benga, please, if you can just go on.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Iso, and well done on your entire effort on this engagement on the issue of Cross River State. You have been very consistent and it's very impressive. And I want to thank the speakers, particularly the commissioner, and the gentleman that has also spoken as a very passionate partner of the state. But let me also just say that while I congratulate them and I support the fact that you said beyond the award, we would like to hear more from the citizens and residents, in terms of the impact. For me, when you ask a question about the vision of the administration, I would like to know, in terms of a master plan or blueprint. I heard the commissioner speak about the agricultural value chain, looking at the banana and plantain to fiber, and then using that to drive other derivatives that could be things like garments and their shopping bags and the rest of them. So there has to be like a master plan. What exactly is the overall plan, right? I heard the gentleman talk about power to the MDAs. Now, if you don't have a master plan and you don't have key measures to define what is success, it becomes difficult to know. Yes, we'll be making some good hits on this sort of low-hanging fruit, but the overall transformation is what we're looking for. And the states, like has been said, we've had visionary leaders in the past. Yes, we've had a gap of maybe 8 years. Things did not progress as we expect. Now, to kick off, it's good to go back to the drawing board. I think one of the things that Lagos State boasts about is that they have a master plan. And that master plan, every government that has been coming thereafter has been working that plan to a reality. So even if we're not talking of master plan for the entire state, when it comes to science and tech, right? And tech in this case, I'm hearing is an amalgamation of technology when it comes to machineries, and also technology when it comes to digital. So what exactly is the outlook? And there have to be timelines. I would love to know, when you look at our MDAs, what's the number of systems that we have? How many number are you going to make it before the end of the year? Is it that we have 1,000 systems, they will go to 2,000? Every MDA would have people that are data scientists and all of that? How many do we have in research? You know, and we're going to have this number by the end of the. There must be metrics to define what success is, and it has to be all in the master plan. So I would like them to talk around this, you know, so that we can get an overview and not just celebrate this what I would call low-hanging fruits, which is good, but it doesn't really tell the overall. And then let me end by asking again, how do you ensure that there are some acts of parliament in the state that makes these sort of things to become systemic and continuity? So somebody does not come tomorrow and change the entire thing, right? I would have loved to hear things like e-learning, the universities, portals, secondary schools. How do we ensure that they're using technology to drive teaching? So along the different areas, how do we make these things such that another government tomorrow will not just come, put them aside, scrap them, and forget about them? Are we working with the legislature, you know, House of Assembly, State House, to try and make these things more institutionalized? Because many times we have all these laudable programs by one administration, it doesn't continue. These are the kind of things I would love to hear, and I hope that we can get some answers or insights to them. Thank you very much.
Benga, thank you very much. I think that's one for the commissioner, but let me take one more question or comment, and then the commissioner will hold that, because I would, you know, go to Oyo and Patrick and Ndifon, and then I'll come back to the commissioner, if that's okay. So Mr. David Etten, please. And if you can share your video, that would be great, so people see who is speaking. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, firstly, I want to commend the penultimate speaker. The guy spoke before the guy that now. I see his passion, beautiful. But I have a few questions. Well, 2 questions to be specific. How close are we to fully rolling out all these tech initiatives in Cross River State? 1. 2, which is what Mr. Wolabi also touched on, is the issue of sustainability. How do we ensure that all of these things, the institutionalization of it? I mean, a perfect example of successive sustainability is Lagos State. Lagos State, as far back as when Fashola was governor, I'm speaking from personal experience, on e-governance. I sent a mail to the land use office on an issue I had. Within 24 hours, I got a response. I got an acknowledgement within 24 hours. Within 48 hours, I got a response. I did not meet anybody. I did not leave my office to talk to anybody. But by correspondence, I got an issue that was a very significant issue resolved. Now, if Cross River State says they are going in that direction from everything that has been said here, how soon are we from all of this? I need to also state here that I'm the president of the Calabar Chamber of Commerce, and how is all of this connecting with private sector? I mean, it's one thing to be a contractor to government and be driving a process as a contractor, but it is clear that for sustainability to occur, beyond the legislative actions that institutionalize it from a policy point of view, that transitioning to private sector to take it beyond administrations, you know, and ensure that there's sustainability in all of this going forward. And that I like the fact that the guy was talking about the issues of cost recovery, where the services are being expanded beyond the state and sold as a service to other states. So therefore, you're looking at cost recovery. It was implied in the statement. Now the issue of all of that taking place, and highest this government has, no matter how much we love them, 8 years. If they get a second term, 8 years, and they must go. What is the vision beyond 8 years? Where will we be in 24 years from now on this? Thank you very much.
Okay, David, thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so we'll hold, there are a few questions that have been raised, which we'll come back to the commissioner about. Oyo, I think what I would like to know from you, like I asked earlier, is, you know, so the hub there, you know, you're training young people, I believe, on different skills. You might want to give us an idea of what those skills are. You might want to give us an idea also of any successes that have been recorded within the hub. Are there things that have been created out of the hub that are being, you know, put to use, whether by businesses or things that are available for the public to use?
Okay, thank you, Missy. So, well, I want to start by saying that currently we are one of the leading space for training young persons in technology, with a lot of partnership we've done for the past, I think, 6 to 8 months. We are currently the leading providers for the 3MTT 3 million technical training by the federal government, Federal Ministry of Communication. Then something we must all know about technology, most of the people that have been assigned to us through this program didn't have basic ICT skills. So you're practically trying to take someone who has never touched a laptop before, training them within a period of 3 months. So it's not a miracle that happened. It takes a bit of 1 year plus before you can get a well-refined global talent in the space. And we're just about 1 year, 2 months currently in the States. So we've trained a lot of persons. And we're expecting them to become global talent. So we have currently in the hub, we have people at the intermediate level, skill grade. Then we have some bit of professionals that we made them at the point where they're intermediate, trying to put in a lot of work to see how to get them professional. Some of them have landed some remote jobs across Nigeria and within Nigeria. So it's a little bit of a success, but we know so much will happen. We're just babies. We're just 1 year, a year and 2 months in the space. And everybody in Calabar can feel the fact that we've done so much in terms of training and keeping the ecosystem vibrant when it comes to training, because we've brought in so many partnerships, UK government, DigiGirls, a lot of partnership trying to train a lot of young persons in Cross River State. So we also building in-house application. We are private sector driven. Our vision is to see how we can turn Cross River State, Calabar precisely, to the biggest remote city in Nigeria. So for that to happen, we need to train a lot of persons. We hope that by the end of 2024, we'll be able to have 1,000 global talents that are working across board. So it's not something that we can do alone. It's something that we need to do with a lot of partnership. And thank God, federal government is on board now. So we want to see how we can work with other partners to see how we can refine the talent, the people given to us, to get them to that point where they can build any solution across the world. So give us this year. Let's see how we turn this thing around. Let's see how we turn Cross River State around. Yeah, that's what.
Okay, let me ask you a quick. Thanks very much. Let me ask you a quick question. What do you consider to be your greatest challenge in terms of running your hub and fulfilling your vision for the hub?
Right, so our greatest challenge right now has been power. Power, it's something that we're spending a lot.
I guess that's what you were going to say.
Power, then internet. We're dealing with young persons who basically don't have power in their home. They don't have internet, so they always want to be connected. And so that's so much. And then we're also dealing with young people who don't have access to device. So like last year, we invested into buying 50 systems so that people can walk into the hub and have access to computer to do whatever they want to do. So those have been the basic challenges. Then also, these people don't have money also to even take up trainings. Sometimes we tell people to pay 10,000, 20,000 naira for training. It doesn't work. So most times, if not for the partnership we have to see how we can assist as many persons as possible, you end up just seeing that young people are willing, they don't have access to light, they don't have access to data, they don't have access to phones to learn, devices. So you just have to provide all of these things to build a viable ecosystem in Cross River State. And also trying to rely solely in Calabar, it's also a major problem because Cross River State is large. Like last year, we did a lot of work moving to Central and North and trying to do a lot with young persons. So it's demanding and it needs a lot of resources if we want to build the kind of state we're looking for. And I think collaboration is obviously key.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. Patrick, I'll come to you shortly, but let me take that 2 hands raised. So I would ask Mr. Emmanuel Ibok. So Mr. Emmanuel Ibok, it would be great if you can show your video so we see who's participating. So Mr. Ibok.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I don't have light now, so I don't think I might off on my video. So, already, I've actually asked a question on the chat there. I don't know if you can go through Mr. Augustine to take a look and see the question. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was brief. I will read out the comments. So MC the people.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abasi, for this opportunity. Let me quickly say this. I want to begin by saying that, talk is cheap. Because for me, I would rather believe the likes of Ndifon and the Oyos that is talking now rather than believe the government, because we are finding that government always find is very sweet talking the people. But at the long run, you just find out all those things they just say it to just make the people feel good. Yes. I've seen Mr. Etim have asked the same question. The first person that asked question asked the same thing. What are your plans, your measures put in place to see that this whole idea is sustained? I'm still waiting to hear from the commissioner who is representing the government. And I want to reiterate that question. What are your measures put in place to have a free flow in terms of service delivery? I am saying this because it's obvious that once a government comes, it's all about the government, the governor this, the governor that. You don't really see the people in what they are saying, because as the government goes, everything about that government will just disappear. And that's it. So I want to say, is it possible this particular idea or someone, is it possible that this government will hand it over to private sectors? You already have private people around you to see that this idea is sustained, because technology, of course, is the in thing now. If we really want to drive all this unemployment here and there, if we can have a genuine government that will be committed to doing these things, trust me, I believe this unemployment thing will be reduced. So how are we going to, service delivery? One, is it possible to let the private sector drive this particular idea? Thank you.
MC the people, thank you very much. Let me go to Patrick. So yeah. I would like you to tell us a bit about the act you mentioned earlier, the Startup Act, and also maybe you can give us your own impression of the tech space in Cross River State, and perhaps what the government, how you think the government is performing in that regard.
All right. Okay. Let me start with the act, and I'll talk about my own impression of the space. So the act is basically a joint initiative between the tech startup ecosystem in Nigeria and the presidency. Basically, it's meant to leverage the potential of a digital economy through, co-creation and the likes. Primarily, it's supposed to enable us to create an enabling environment for tech-based or technology-based startups. Okay, the act has about 13 parts and 48 sections. So what the act has introduced into the startup ecosystem conversation is a regulatory framework for startups in Nigeria. And through its implementation, okay, it's supposed to help drive the growth within the tech industry and sort of like just to create some level of sanity within, the ecosystem. You know that a couple of years ago, I think the Lagos state government had passed a regulation to ban Okada, to ban bikes in the state of Lagos. And a lot of startups had built their business models around bikes, and that regulation came all of a sudden, you know, and an entire industry started collapsing. So what the Startup Act does is, you know, introduces certain provisions to ensure that government and the ecosystem are in sync in terms of, you know, what to make available for innovation, for business to thrive. I'll just probably give some provisions that is in the Act. You know, there's a startup labeling requirement in the Act that ensures that startups are duly recognized. There's also provision for the establishment of a special seed fund to financing labeled startups, technology accelerators, incubators, hubs, and the likes. Labeled startups as well as investors, equity funds, venture capitals, okay, will be entitled to certain tax benefits and financial incentives, you know, under the Act. Currently, there's a startup support portal that is currently active. It's going to serve as a centralized point for, you know, engagements of startups with government agencies and the like. So the Act just basically provides incentives, provides structure and programs for the startups within the ecosystem to help it grow, to support it in creating value, and also to build a foundation where those startups can be exported globally. So that's basically what the Act is about. In terms of how I see the space, the ecosystem here, like Mr. Ugi has said, you know, Cross River State has always been one of the states that is at the forefront of, you know, innovation in terms of the solutions they bring both at the government level and also the private sector level. When I saw the award gotten by the state, I read up the article and I saw the solutions that were being exhibited, and it was really impressive. That's something that's very common here. You know, if you also look at some of the top tech talent in the country, a good chunk of them started here in Cross River State. Either their startups here, Hotels NG, or they built their capacity from Calabar, from Cross River State, and then exported themselves to other places where they expanded. So Cross River State has always been a place that produces great innovations, great individuals. However, the biggest issue, and it's something that I've also constantly been talking to people about, that we create, but it's hard to sustain the inventions, the innovations, the talent within the space because of the lack of the available support systems, infrastructures, you know, finances, and all of that within the space. So people come up with ideas, people come up with great solutions, people develop themselves, but oftentimes there's a lack of support, first within the private sector and then also at the government level. And so these people, you hear complaints like nothing is happening in Calabar, you know, nothing's happening in Cross River State, and the likes, and then people begin to relocate to other places. I'm currently, I keep telling people that we are at a very critical point, because there's a large percentage of people now getting involved in the ecosystem. People are getting into tech, people are becoming more interested in building startups. However, what is lacking primarily are very critical infrastructures components that will sustain this surge of talent and sort of innovations within the state. And if we don't get it right, we could be looking at another decade or two where people would be interested in Cross River State. It's one thing to have this mass of people interested in tech, and then it's another thing to ensure that, look, they don't just up and leave, but they grow, they're able to also contribute to the economy of the state, to the growth of the state as well. There is a lot of potential here, not just in tech for tech's sake, not just in science and tech for tech's sake, but we have a diverse industry: agriculture, healthcare, tourism, education, and the likes. There's need for more people, particularly people that are experts in science and technology, to begin to think about innovations within these other sectors, not just coming up with core tech solutions. Because even if you do that, adoption is going to be a very big issue, especially if these infrastructural challenges are not being addressed. You also want to be able to diversify the economy extensively. We've seen our country as a nation, the weaknesses it has had to, it has created for itself in just depending solely on oil. And as a state, we don't want to make those kinds of mistakes. So the opportunities are abundant, they are in excess. What is very critical is not just a government strategy, but also a private sector strategy to support entrepreneurs, support startup and SMEs, attract investors, to support the talent within the state, to take advantage of these opportunities and grow the ecosystem in general.
Okay, Patrick, thank you very much. There's a lot that's been said. Let me come to the commission, and I'm very conscious of time because we usually wrap this up by 5:30 p.m. So I'm going to try and pack as much in as possible. Commissioner, I'd like you to respond to a couple of things. So the first one is sustainability. And, I would appreciate if your answers are just, very brief and straight to the point. The issues around sustainability are very important. They've been raised by several people here. I was once, part of government. I worked with the Lea Limoke administration. We did a lot. In fact, we actually won #1 prize, I think, in terms of the best site in the state. But, shortly after that comes an emperor who doesn't care about that, and, everything goes down the drain. So my question to you, Commissioner, would be sustainability. What is the plan for sustainability of these initiatives that the government is undertaking?
Thank you for having me again. Well, your question is very key and shortened, but then permit me to talk a little about the question that I read. I think by Benga and the subsequent person who later spoke and said that he has more confidence in rather Patrick and or other people who are in government say this and say that. Well, first, I am not speaking on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of Cross River State. I am talking as a Commissioner for Science and Technology. I'm not here to talk about the general administration of His Excellency and his blueprint, but what the Ministry of Science and Technology is set to do and what has done already. First thing is to rebuild the confidence of the populace, the confidence of Cross-Riverians who had once seen the light, even the light in science and technology, the light in ICT. And I will already pointed out a lot of things had gone down the drain. And if the confidence of people is not rebuilt, recreated, if the people doesn't have the faith and the confidence in this administration, then it means we are headed nowhere. If we like bring down heaven here on earth, it's still seen as nothing. The confidence that we try to rebuild is what was demonstrated in about 3 weeks ago, when the young youth took to the streets, even in rain, in walkathon. Children who want to showcase themselves as being interested in tech. We are on the streets of Calabar running an event organized by Oyo. The presence of the government was there. I was there. SA General Duty was there, yet in rain. This is what we want to rebuild in the youth. Talking about sustainability, His Excellency, the Governor of Cross River State, has been very clear that all that had been committed into building, for example, Tinapa, the Burikati Ranch, to mention by the few, we are all government monies. And that he will be one who will close his eyes and see that government infrastructure are all decay and go moribund. That his first thing he want to do is to see how all these our infrastructures are brought back to form and to shape. Because after all, it was government money that was used to build them. It's not to make a name that in my administration, I brought a new thing, in my administration, I brought heaven down to earth. No. Government has to go back to where it has been. With this statement alone, with this bold statement he has taken, you can be sure of sustainability of any policy or reforms this administration wants to bring to the fore. You can be sure of that. We talk about low-hanging fruit. I was later going to be like a piece, but I said no. You cannot say what has gotten national recognition. It's not just from Obaliku to Bakassi, but the statistics of the Federation actually computed and cross state came first, and you call it a low-hanging fruit? No. It was an event that was organized by the federal ministry. We were only altruistic and forthright to have competed, and we competed keenly, and we came first position. I should rather have felt, I would say, oh, bravo, Team Cross State, you did well. You were on the right track. After now, what next? We are not taken aback. We are aiming for an administration that just took off, barely how many months, up to a year old. We are bringing back to back 2 awards, national award to the state, requires an applaud. And you should know that we are going for the basics. We are not going for what they call low-hanging fruit. After all, government is all about basics. Come to Calabar for now. Look at how all the roads, the road network is getting another picture, looking differently from what it used to be in the past administration. Those are the basic necessities of life. Those are the basic facilities that Cross State needs. And that is where this administration is aimed at. As I speak with you, a lot is being done in the agri-value chain. A lot is being done. For example, an app and assessment has been done across the length and the breadth of Cross State to assess the soil texture, to exactly ascertain what plant, what breed is best in a particular geographical area. Don't talk about law of comparative advantage.
Commissioner,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, but because of the limited time that we have left, there's another question I'd like to put to you, which is,
okay.
I had asked what is your greatest challenge in operating a hub like that? And I imagine that's the same challenge that he mentioned, which is power, and I think he mentioned internet connectivity also, things that would apply to the private sector generally within Cross River State. I don't know whether power is under your portfolio,
well,
but I would like you to talk about power and internet connectivity.
Good and fine. Like Ugi, president of Nugi Technology, had already pointed out, we have moved from Accountant General Office to build solar power infrastructure. We have BETSEM at Internal Revenue Service. We have BETSEM in the College of Health Technology. We are moving from MDA to MDA. But understand that for government to work, the administration must equally have their own power. You have to think of how to move from the metropolitan to other nook and crannies of Cross River State. I had mentioned earlier that we want to extend our fiber route There is one licensed contractor who is licensed the whole of South in terms of telcos. We are already working in partnership to see how he builds our fiber routes from Calabar up to Obudu. The assessment has already been done already. And so government is committed to providing internet to household, to everybody doorstep. We are committed to it. But you understand that everything begins with a step, and that is where we are. That we even have the knowledge of this, that we have the consciousness of this, and that we are already committed, beginning from MDAs. Take for example, we are happy that before now, the revenue of cross-border IGR was down there. But as I speak with you, with the application of science and technology that we are using now, our IGRA has multiplied even 100%, more than what it used to be. And so this administration is looking at the basic. The basic is going back to the drawing board. Where did we get it wrong? How can we start from where we had fallen? The only thing I want to create for all cross-border is this. Please have confidence in the present administration. That is what is called people-first administration. We don't want to go and build a skyscraper for ourselves. It's the people. And so you have an opinion to raise. You have an opinion. Send emails. Come to us. Meet us. Share your opinion. And we are ready to buy into it.
Okay, Commissioner, I have one question. I have one more question for you before I go around the panelists to give us their final thoughts. And that question is a very specific question. I'd like you to be very specific. So,
good and fine.
In terms of technology, in terms of things, initiatives that you are currently working on, what should Cross Riverians or people dealing with Cross River State expect within the next 6 to 12 months in terms of new services? So it's very specific between the next 6 to 12 months. What are those maybe services that are coming, that are going to be delivered that people should look forward to, and we can look and say, okay, 6 months, Commissioner said this will happen, it has happened, we applaud the Commissioner, it hasn't happened, we'll come back and ask you, Commissioner, what's going on?
One of the things that's going to happen in my ministry, and quotes me, is what has commenced already, the repair of the vandalized fiber route that was vandalized by the NSAS. We are going to have that fix already committed to it. And without the fiber, internet cannot be supplied. And secondly, we want to expand and to build on the fabrication academy that house some skills that we want to build on the youth. We want to expand that academy to bring in more skills. The youth will have it. And in no distant time, we shall see it even float. And then thirdly, I'm saying it, the enumeration of society is already going on, where a click, once a household is being enumerated, your data is captured and it is banned. And what they want to do is to institutionalize, to domesticate, and to pattern this our central authentication system that Cross River State has built. We can have that between now and the next 6 months. The others can follow.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you very much. Mr. Ugi, if you would, please just share with us within a minute, if possible, your closing remarks.
To what the Commissioner has highlighted for me, and just to let those who ask the questions on sustainability. One of the problems we've always had in Cross River State is the fact that the private sector hadn't gotten involved with some of the government operations. Some of the things were domesticated in government, and these were a real problem because things did not continue. Assuming you had a solid partnership with the private sector team that would actually continue doing their bit, one part to enable services. So this time around, there's been a strong partnership with the private sector. And I can tell you, if you have any solution, if you have anything that you feel that government should know about, we have a strong partnership with the government to make that possible. I'll also highlight that we went back to basics, like the Commissioner said. Basics are in football. If you receive the ball, just pass it to the next person that is available or close to you. For us, that is what we want to highlight. Go back to the basics, go back to the simple things and make them work. That is what we are doing. And I know that in different sectors, there are ways that technology is going to impact different sectors. One is a Project Grow. I have been involved with Project Grow. They're building data, agri extension services for farmers and all of that. That project will soon be launched very soon. I know about that because I am directly involved working behind the scene. I'm also aware of the soil texture project the Commissioner mentioned. I was also involved with the analysis that were done by some professors locally and some in Italy. So the entire thing was to ensure that if you want to plant any crop, you know exactly where to go and plant it, and you won't have problems sampling, getting this data. So we are mining this data, putting this data, making this data available to farmers. So in terms of sustainability, I am speaking in authoritative representing the private sector. I'm saying that for what we do, what we are known for in Nugi, we build systems that work. Across the country, we have services running for different states, different organizations, banks, and etc., etc. And these things are working. These things are visible. You can see them. So we would not be involved with our own states and give them less of what we are giving outside. So what I can say is, for the first time, I'll ask everyone to have confidence. I've seen a question on we need a tech hub. We cannot just go and situate a tech hub without doing all of these things that the commissioner has highlighted and I have also highlighted. Tech hubs will eventually come, but we want to create sustainability in the ecosystem. Everyone has talked about power and all of that. There's a power summit organized by the Ministry of Finance coming up very soon. I think that should be on air already. So they have all these things sorted out, but because this was limited to actually science and technology, we cannot be delving into power, agriculture, and all the other aspects that the government has had planned out. But I know that there's a power summit coming up which will address problems in power, bringing investors in power together to actually harness the potential of Cross River State to generate electricity. And the power problem has not been a Cross River State problem. It's a nationwide problem. It's a problem every startup is having. I still have that power problem because to build the capacity that runs what we have currently is huge. So we have to take this bit by bit. And what we will say is that we would actually be available to speak on these things when we are called on. We have actually be available to show you what we are doing. Transparency has been the utmost front line of this government. And I, for one, who promote this publicly, is saying that trust the government, trust what we are doing, and the solutions will come. You would come at the end of the day. Solutions will come to you at the end of the day. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ugi, thank you very much. Patrick and Ndifon, please, if you can, in 1 minute, just give us your closing remarks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bassi. It's been a very exciting session. I have just 4 points to give as my closing remark. First of all, it's very critical because we at Psifon, what we are really focused on is helping to organize, structure, and provide some sort of catalyst for growth in the ecosystem, right? It's very important that both the government and private sector enter into collaborative action into developing critical components of the ecosystem, and there are just 7 of them: cultural, business support, infrastructure, R&D, and specialized assets. There's also finance capital. There's also human capital. There's access to markets. And then we have lastly, public policy, regulations, and laws. So there has to be collaborative effort to ensure that these various components are active and are effective in supporting, the talent within the space, supporting entrepreneurs, investors, and the general ecosystem. Third, there's also a need for high net worth individuals within the state, in diaspora as well, to contribute towards helping grow this ecosystem. A lot of times, these individuals have the capacity to invest in startups, to provide some kind of expertise or opportunities for the talent within the space. It's important that it takes a community to build an ecosystem, and it's important that everyone brings their effort to the table to support the growth of the ecosystem. Lastly, this is directly to the innovators in the state. We need to rethink how we build. Cuba doesn't have a large population. We're about 4-point-something million. We shouldn't exactly be building for Cross River. We should we should think about building, leveraging the resources in Cross River and building for the rest of the world. So build local, scale global. Thank you.
Okay, Patrick and Ndifon, thank you very much. Or your Effiom, would you like to, within a minute, just share with us your closing remarks, please?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. So, well, I want to say that, most times we do talk about problem, but there's huge opportunity. And if every one of us will get back to the drawing board, contribute our own quarter, collaborate as much as possible, then obviously we will get the ecosystem functional. Most times we want to throw all of the problem to government, but we are private sector, private individuals that can bring our resources together and collaborate. There's so much work to be done in Cross River State, and that will only be done by people who are willing to commit first their resources, commit their little resources. Then from there they can start scaling. We can all scale because I believe there's room for growth. So please, perseverance, people living in Cross River State, tech ecosystem in Cross River State can become as active as any other state. But we need you. We need you to leave your rooms, leave the comfort of your phones, and come out and also support whatever is going on. Invest. We talk about Cross River this, but people have money in Cross River State. They don't like to invest. They are not investing in startups. Come meet us, look for startups that are trying to build and invest your little money in those startups and see if Cross River State will not be like Lagos or Port Harcourt or any place you're thinking about. But when people keep their money and then they keep it for election period or whatever they're doing, then there's going to be a lot of problem. So please, young people are hungry. Young people are hungry to innovate, to build, to bring the change we are looking for. We're single day. There's no day we don't have up to 50 young persons walking into our hub, and we're interacting with them. They want to build, they want to innovate, but we all have to pull in our resources and support to see how this ecosystem functions. Like the commissioner have talked about the award they got. Beautiful, good innovation, but we need to duplicate this and put it into the market. It's going to take private citizens that we don't even have a VC, a venture capital firm in Cross River State. So there's a whole lot, there's so many opportunities that we can all do. So instead of this conversation just ending as conversation, what we should all think about, what are the areas that we have not done? Okay, Guru Innovation Hub, you guys are doing talent development. Nugi, you're doing this. Patrick, you're doing this. What are the other areas that we don't have organizations? Can we come together, this person, and build something that covers that space? Then before 3, 4 years, 5 years, would have been able to.
Okay, Oyo, thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to thank all our panelists for joining. Commissioner, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today. And congratulations for the awards that Cross River State has received. But I will make bold once again to say that I think that the greatest award would be when the citizens or people who are doing business with Cross River State are the ones that are speaking. I came across a video recently where someone, I think in London, who renewed his passport was rejoicing at how quick and seamless the process was. And of course, this person did a video and put it out on TikTok. I think that would be the greatest form of recognition for Cross River State and for what the government is doing if people who are totally unconnected to government, are coming out to actually praise. And, with all the wonderful things that we've heard from yourself and your partner, Mr. Ugi, it looks like those are the sorts of things that would naturally be happening in the not too distant future. So well done. And thank you, Mr. Ugi, for, spending your time, Patrick and Ndifon and Oyo Effiom. Really appreciate that you've taken out time to be here with us. Also, David Edson, thank you. MCD people, thank you for your comments. I spotted my friend Nelta or Egbe as well. Thank you for coming. There are some comments that have been posted there. Mr. Ugi, I think Mr. Emmanuel Ibok is interested in maybe meeting you and having a one-on-one conversation with you about what he can deliver. So I hope you will oblige him that opportunity. I will hand over at this point to Kennedy or Mochefe, who will just lead us, give us some announcements, and then we'll bring the conversation to a close. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bassi. Thank you very much, our panelists, the Honorable Commissioner, Dr. Justin, Patrick Ndifon, Mr. Ugi, and Oyo Effiom. It's a wonderful evening having you guys in this wonderful conversation and diving into science and technology. This event has been brought to you by TCROM, the Cross River Movement, and the event is being streamed on Sparkling FM. We have our website, thecrossrivermovement.com, and TCRM, the Cross River Movement, is all about promoting transparency in government and promoting good governance. So we organize these sectors to be able to bring together stakeholders to discuss way forward in Cross River State. You can visit us on our social media handles at Cross River Move and on Instagram at crossriver_move. We also have this conversation every fortnight. So the next conversation
Looks like we've lost Kennedy. So he was saying that the next conversation will be in a fortnight's time. And we usually, broadcast that on social media, etc. So we'd look forward to everyone joining us. Ken, are you back? Are you back? Okay, and also just to correct, our website is actually crossrivermove.com, not crossrivermovement.com. So it's crossrivermove.com. So thanks once again, everyone, for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoy the week ahead. God bless.